I love this part of the presentation, the handshake. I love the handshake. Okay, so this is an illustration that's in the book. The reason why my face looks like that is because most of the handshakes I get are terrible. And no one will ever tell you that your handshake is terrible. One thing that I wanted to be able to express is that if you aren't born in Canada, if you weren't raised here, you know, it would be the same thing as me moving to another country and having to adapt to those cultures. And I am totally ignorant to what those cultures are. The handshake is our formalized way of making a greeting with somebody. And there's lots of ways that you can have a poor first impression with someone, and you probably don't even mean to. But there is an expectation that people have in business in Canada of how your handshake is going to be. Here are the bad ones that I tend to get. The wet fish. Okay, the wet fish is the clammy handshake, the wet, sweaty palm handshake. I ask this all the time, who has a sweaty handshake, and nobody says yes, so I go, I have one, okay? My handshake, when I get nervous, I get palm sweat like crazy. It's awful. Do you know how to combat that? I keep a hanky in my pocket. So what I do, when somebody comes to meet me, I squeeze the hanky, it takes off all the moisture, I got a nice firm handshake. For women that don't have pockets, this is another trick that I use. In fact, I used it today because I was kind of nervous coming here. I got myself a bottle of San Pellegrino out of the bowl, and I just held onto it. Didn't drink it. And the cool thing is that it actually cooled my hand down. So when it was time to shake somebody's hand, I just pressed my hand against my pocket, bang, I got a nice, cool, firm handshake for them as well. That's how to get rid of the wet fish. The Queen Mary. Has anyone ever gotten this one before? Absolutely terrible. The Angry Hulk. This is always for the guys. You ever try to break somebody's hand while shaking them? Nice firm handshake, and all you did was like dislocate their pinky? That's not a good one. And the Klingon. Has anyone ever had the Klingon before where they won't let go? And you're like, come on, man. So uncomfortable. There's a couple other things. It's not just about the grip. And this is really important to understand, especially if you weren't raised in this culture. Eye contact is extraordinarily important. The reason why eye contact is important for me, and by the way, I say this to anybody because I've been meeting with professionals for years, and I see people that got great handshakes and they won't look me in the eye. What do I take away from that? I take away two things. One is you are not confident. The second thing is that you don't respect me. Those are horrible things to leave with someone after their first impression of you. So if you don't feel like you're looking somebody in the eye when you shake hands with them, get used to it, because that's what I'm looking for when I first meet you. The grimace. Do you smile when you shake hands, or are you nervous as hell and you tight-lipped sort of thing? I always say to myself, like, I'm not Kim Jong-un sending you to a re-education facility. I'm a guy that's going to try to help you get a job, okay? So smile a little. And when you smile, you actually release endorphins inside of you that help you relax, which is really quite cool. And don't go with a freelanced phrase, okay? You guys are MBAs, you know something, okay? But don't go with sup or hey, how's it going? I get it all the time. You'd be shocked. Go with the boring phrase. How do you do? Nice to meet you. Say your name, okay? So, here's what we expect in the corporate world. We expect firm, but not too firm. So if your handshake is too strong to crush a Coke can, it's too firm. So just firm, but not firm enough. Last for 2 seconds. Great eye contact, smile, and use your boring phrase. Pleased to meet you. So guys, that's your first impression when you meet people. That's what they think. They're not telling you that, but that's what they think of you. You don't want to be known for your handshake. Okay? It's always a bad thing. When we sit by the water cooler and we talk about somebody's handshake, it's because it was horrible. Okay? So constantly try to rate your handshake with other people. Pick out 5 people that you know. And what you're going to find out going through that process is how many people also do not have good handshakes. So anyway, there's a little tip for you going forward, okay? All right, we're going to talk a little bit about interview do's and don'ts. And this is kind of a fun area that I love talking about. There's some video stuff in here that we're going to go through as well. Okay, so you're going to laugh at some of these videos that I'm going to show you. But here are some very, very common interview do's and don'ts that I experience on a daily basis. So the first one is, I'm going to show you this quick video, and this is of an applicant that's coming in to interview with me.
Oh, hi there. Can I help you?
Hi, yeah, I'm got an interview with Rodger.
Oh, okay, and what's your name?
I'm Rachel Campbell.
Rachel. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. Yeah.
So it looks like you're a little early. He's got you coming in about 25 minutes. Did you want to come back or?
No, I'll hang out. Is there a place where I can sit down?
Yeah. You can have a seat just right over there. Did you want a glass of water or anything while you wait?
No, I'm good.
All right. Happens more than you think. So, what didn't go well there? Gum, yeah, you bet. What else?
Coffee cup and casual.
Coffee cup and casual. What else? Sorry, just, yep, sorry?
Kind of disrespectful, just the way she was talking.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Her phone was in her hand.
Phone was in the hand, yeah.
Too early.
Too early, yeah. Anyone else? Guys, you nailed quite a few of them. She showed up 25 minutes before an interview. 10 minutes. That's the number. 10 minutes is the new on time, showing up before. The reason why no more, no less, is because I schedule my interviews 15 minutes apart. I don't want you bumping into another candidate in the hall. And don't assume I've got a place for you to sit down. I don't. Next, bit hoochie with the dress, don't you think? So here's a rule. If you ask the question, can I pull this off? You can't. Very simple, okay? Conservative, conservative, conservative. If you have an informational interview with someone, you don't have to match dress, but dress respectfully for their position. So if you're going to meet somebody that works in an investment firm, they're probably wearing a suit and tie. You don't work there. You don't have to wear a suit and tie, guys, but you might want to wear a nice button-down shirt, slacks, okay? Ladies, you might want to wear a nice conservative suit or a skirt and a blouse. And you have to figure out what kind of industry you're going into. I work in software. Like, I work with guys all day long that wear cargo shorts, and they rarely wear shoes. So it's pretty informal. Now, there are formal positions within my company. But software guys, everybody wears jeans in software. That's the way it goes. You're never going to make a mistake by overdressing for something. Okay? So don't worry about that. That's okay. And you can deformalize your dress in ways. Like, guys can take off a tie. Women can take off a jacket. Like, you can do that. So don't ever worry about that. We have a guy that works for our company. He just joined us in the support area. This guy dresses up every single day. He is the butt of every joke that we have in the office because he doesn't fit. But you know what? That's how he wants to dress. Awesome. We love that guy for that. So no problem. Don't go hoochie, okay? You know, it's just not a good thing. No proper introduction, okay? She said, hey, I got an interview with Rodger. Awesome. You know who I am when you come for an interview? I'm Mr. Banister. I'm Rodger Banister. That's who I am. Don't use my first name unless I give you permission. And what you're going to find in your career is that everybody tends to go to that casual part where they start using first names and they will introduce themselves as such. Oftentimes, you will find someone that breaks that rule and they want to be known as Mr. or Mrs. something. So don't make that mistake of being too casual. She brought a coffee, okay? When you bring a coffee to an interview, you're telling me that this is just a stop that you have along the way of your busy day. Don't do it. If you're too early, go for a coffee, drink it, throw it out, come back in. Get a coffee when you get there. All good. Chewing gum, not good. Mobile phone, terrible. When she asked how she was doing, she said, I'm all right. Right? Just like you asked me when I came in. I went, I'm okay. Do you know how you are when you go into a job interview? You're great. Everything is great. The world is great. You know why? We love optimists. If you're a sad sack, I'm okay person, I don't want to hire you. Sad sack people hit the snooze button. Great people jump out of bed and want to come to work. So you're great when you come in. And she was rude to the receptionist. That was the interview. Don't ever make the mistake of thinking that someone you're not interviewing with is going to have an opinion about you moving forward. If you are a jerk to the person that you first talked to, you're likely not going to get the gig. So be nice. In fact, this is an old technique because we get to see you how you really are. Now, you guys are future executives. So what's going to happen when you interview for positions is eventually they're going to take you out for dinners. That's not because they just want to see what you want to order. They want to see you in a relaxed environment. They want to see if you're going to be a jerk to the waiter. So keep that in mind. Everything is a test. Everything. So always step up. Okay. Here's the most common question that gets asked in interviews. Tell me a bit about yourself. Let's see how she did. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I graduated from UVic and I just got back from India where I've been traveling for the last 4 months. I became a vegetarian while I was away and now I'm back on the island looking for a job because I love it here. And I studied marketing as part of my degree and I saw that you're looking for a coordinator.
What do we think? She went to India. She's a vegetarian. Do I care? No, I don't care at all. She didn't say anything that was relevant to my organization. She only talked about herself. Remember, this is a trap question. I don't want to know where you've been traveling. I don't want to know what you like to eat for lunch. I want to know why you're in my office. That's what I want to know. So, here's maybe how she should have answered the question. So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a BCom graduate with a focus in marketing, and I spent my last co-op term working in digital marketing and content creation for an emerging local software company. I'm passionate about customer success and eager to learn about how you've been successful with your customer advocacy. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Okay, I'm going to tell you one of the most powerful phrases you can use in an informational interview setting or a job interview setting. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Get them talking. If they're talking, you're winning. If you're talking, you're losing. Remember that. It is about creating a conversation, and when you create a conversation with an employer, you're showing how interested you are in his or her business. And when you're doing that, you are positioning yourself ahead of other candidates. So here's the cool thing. All she did was read the job ad and try to tailor her experience to what it was, and then she got them talking. Because what's going to happen often when you go into job interviews is they're going to have a bank of questions that they're going to ask you. They're going to want to get through them all. I never let anybody get through those questions, ever. You have to make sure that you're demonstrating interest and positioning yourself ahead of other candidates. How do you think you look different from another candidate if you're enduring the same 10 questions that everybody else does? What answers are you possibly giving to make you stand out? You're not. So if you can take that and turn it into a conversation and knock them off their game, now you've done something. I'll tell you a little bit about a job that I was offered down in Seattle. It was with a digital loyalty firm, and I had to go through 8 interviews to get that job. I think they asked me 5 questions in total. That was it. And every interview was an hour long. The reason why is because I walked in with 20 questions for that person, and I just got them talking. And my interest more than trumped my experience. I probably had no business actually being in the room, but there were people that were way more experienced than me that were applying for that job. But my interest made me the ideal candidate for them going forward. The worst thing you can possibly do at the end of an interview when they say, do you have anything more for me, is go, I'm good, right? That's your opportunity to get in there. You can start digging in there, no problem. And there is a way for you to be able to answer their questions that demonstrates that you know something about the company. We just looked to hire a position for an account executive in our company, and we had 3 candidates that had tons of experience coming through. It only took me 2 questions to figure out that none of them had any idea what we did. And then I'm in that uncomfortable position where I have to extend the interview past 10 minutes, which is awful. So if you're just doing some rudimentary research on the company, you can get through some of those questions, which is great. That's a great way to answer that question, by the way. And if you want to ask the question after that, and they don't want to answer it, then fine. First of all, you're learning something about them. And this is really important as well, guys. Just because you're interviewing for a job doesn't mean it's a great job for you. Think of the interview as your opportunity to find the best opportunity for you. That's what leaders do. Leaders do not subordinate themselves in that environment. It's a two-way street that you're thinking about here. And when you can position yourself as such, that company's going to think primarily, this person must have other opportunities because they're asking questions about the best fit for them. So now you've created scarcity, which is awesome. I might go sign with somebody else if you guys aren't good enough. What interests you about this job? Here's another common question that comes up. What interests you about this job?
Well, some of my friends work here and they say the culture is awesome. Plus, you've got an amazing office. And tech is the #1 growing industry in Victoria, and I'd like to get into a growing industry.
Awesome. You've got an amazing culture. If culture is your #1 reason for going to work for a company, they do not want you, okay? You can support the culture and talk about that later on, but culture is not good. You are interested in the gig. Show that you're interested in the gig. Here's how you do it. What interests you about this job?
I studied marketing in school, and I'm very interested in B2B marketing. You're a global software company with an excellent reputation in the maritime sector, and from what I can see from your customer testimonials, a world-class product. I'm curious to know how you manage lead generation in a multitude of markets and different languages. Can you tell me more about that?
Do you know what my #1 response is when I ask people what interests you about this job? They say, I love boats. I love boats. We make software for the commercial maritime industry. I love boats. We don't go on boats. I don't even like boats. I don't even like the water. So when you come and you tell me you like boats, I think, how irrelevant is that answer? So make sure that your answers are absolutely relevant to people going forward. This is my favorite. What do you know about us so far? What do you know about our company so far?
Well, I know that you make software for ships, and I watched a few of your videos online, and it looks like you've got a really cool, easy-to-use product that could really help ship owners.
Good? Could be a trick. Is this a good answer? It's not a good answer. It's not a good answer. Is anybody a football fan here? Okay. So there's this old coach. His name is Bill Parcells. He's a gruff old guy. He has this old saying, don't tell me about the labor, just show me the baby. Don't tell me what work you put in. Don't tell me how much research you did. Don't tell me I watched some of your videos online. Prove to me through your questions that you actually know something about my company. Guys, you're not going to impress me by saying I went through every page on your website. That doesn't do a thing for me. It means you're analytical. Who cares? So don't answer the question this way. The best way that she could have answered this was this. So what do you know about our company so far?
I'm interested in knowing more about your recent expansion into Brazil. What were some of the challenges you had to overcome selling into that market? And what are your long-range plans for further expansion into South America?
Okay, all that needed was for her to download one press release. That's it. and she demonstrated her absolute interest in our company. What do you know about us so far? She did not need to know that we were founded in 1999 in Chemainus. She didn't need to know that we had so many customers. She didn't need to know that we were in so many geographies. All she needed to do was ask a great question about, wow, I hear selling in Brazil is kind of tough because it's protectionist. How do you do that? Then I start talking. Okay, do's and don'ts.